Hey yo, what is up? Today we are reviewing the VXE Dragonfly R1 Pro. So before we kick off this review, let me put it out there. I have 21 by 10 hands. We're testing on 90 plus degrees temperature and 60 plus percentage of upwards humidity. We're testing this on the Tenta X control pad. Well, I've tested it on the Tenta X control pad and the Tenta X speed pad, which is this is the Octo Grip and this is the Octo Sense with the last stand print on it. Now I got very sweaty fingertips and clammy hand. So let's start off with the battery life and the hygiene check. Now I ran this mouse on 2k hertz polling rate, which I suspect drains the battery quality, drains the battery equally as a 4k hertz polling, and it lasted 4 whole days with 5% remaining in the tank. Now currently it's on 1000 hertz polling with 3 days remaining. 1000 hertz polling with going on 3 days with 50% remaining is what I wanted to say. Now remember, this has a 250 milliamp battery that is literally half the size of the Pro Max here, which is a 500 milliamp battery. And by the way, I got two mouses paired to the 4K dongle and they both work. I'm gonna just show it to you right now. It's on Dragonfly. You can see as soon as I pick up the white mouse will start to wake up and put that one to sleep. And when I hover over the Dragonfly thing, it normally goes to the white mouse, but I don't know why it's not doing it right now. There you go, it goes to the white mouse, and then when I put the white mouse away and go back to the Dragonfly Pro and hover over that, it switches back to the black. So I can pair both mouses to one dongle. That's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to pair a third one probably tomorrow, but let's continue with this review, which is the Dragonfly R1 Pro. Hygienically, it's I don't know if the camera picks it up. You can see the smudges, you can see the fingerprints. It started getting a little bit disgusting after the 4th day. I haven't cleaned it, of course, for the past 7 days, so I'm gonna let you take a good look at it and see how bad it is. It's honestly, in my opinion, all the mouses that I've tried out, this isn't even bad at all. If you compare this to an endgame gear, we all know how famous endgame gear's coating is. It basically a smudge magnet. It's noticeable. I mean, this is noticeable. It leaves a print. The residue leaves a print. It's not abnormal for a black colored mouse with a coating. So I'm not, I have to point out, it's also not as bad as endgame gear. It's not too concerning. It's actually pretty normal, but I will clean this up right now because I've been dying to do that for the last ever since the 4th day. But I'll continue to talk about the mouse as I do a little bit of spring cleaning on it. Of course, this has been spoken about extensively. The shape is what I'm talking about here. It has been a real hot topic. People are interested in knowing about this mouse because this is such a interesting hot mouse at the moment. It is a very close shape to the Ninjutsu Sora 4K, a slimmer X2, a familiar XM2WE. Now we can debate all day about how different or similar they are from each other, but you get the gist. It is somewhere around the same shape, around the same silhouette, around the same feeling and grip. Obviously the buttons and all that, the way the buttons actuate, how the switches feel, they're all going to vary from, not just from brand to brand, they're going to vary from copy to copy of your of the mouse that you have. The same mouse that you have might even be different from copy to copy, so you know, there's no point in me harping or talking too long about subject like that, because you know, it's just going to be different from mouse to mouse. Personally, this is my best performing mouse on Kovaaks, and you know, we'll get into that later. I'll explain that all to you. And just for context, before this mouse, before the VXE R1 Pro and R1 Pro Max, my best performing mouse was the XM2WE on Kovaaks. And if I'm being truthful, this isn't even my favorite shape or type of mouse. My favorite shape is actually a small HTX or an ergonomic Thorn. Those are my favorite shapes. But I'm performance driven. So if a $38 mouse can outperform a $138 mouse, I will pick the better performer all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Now I'm blown away with the performance. I even bought the R1 SE, which is the entry level of the Dragonfly, and that's coming, I think that arrives tomorrow, and that was $16.50 shipped to my door. But that'll be the next video, okay? Next up, I want to talk about the build quality. Same as the Pro Max. If you've seen my Pro Max video, this is in my opinion, this is a AAA quality. If you slapped a Ninjutsu Sora or a Ninjutsu logo on it, or a Razer logo on it, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I mean, if you can't slap a Razer logo on it. Razer is much more solid kind of feeling, but you know, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you compare this to a Lamzu, you compare this to a Pulsar, you're not going to say this is inferior in quality. You're going to say it's more or less the same thing. You know, I'm not going to death grip this mouse to force it to squeak, but let me try. I'm not death gripping it, but I am squeezing it pretty hard, and there's no squeak. But you know, pressing it or smashing it is not how I would regularly handle my mouse anyway. So you know, it's not going to be a problem for me. This build quality for me is as good as it gets. I have a very light grip. My actual grip is very light, and I use very little pressure to control my mouse. So even if I make a squeak now, I wouldn't be able to repeat it in game. That's the truth. Now, as for the coating, it's really grippy and pretty similar to the Logitech GPX. I don't really feel the need to add any kind of grips. Even on the white one, I was like, you know, not sure whether I want to use side grips, but I think side grips work for me. I might add a side grip on the R1 Pro as well, but we'll see what happens to it. Like I mentioned earlier, the black coatings are a smudge magnet, but if you're a reasonably clean person, you'd probably wipe this down every 2 days or so, so it's not really a problem at all. Again, I mentioned I have very sweaty, very clammy fingertips and hands, so I'm going to put a lot more smudges than your regular person. Plus, we are in 61% humidity and 90 plus degrees temperature year round. So this might not be the experience that you have. If you have dry hands, if you live in a dry place with a colder temperature, this is not gonna, the coating is going to be actually perfect for you. Now, as for the buttons, I've done the button test on the unbox video, but just to summarize, these are Huanos. They have a slight difference to the scales on the Pro Max. A little bit of difference, but not enough for me to favorite one over the other. Yes, the Pro Max Huanos are a little bit softer, just a tiny bit softer, but not enough for me to say this is better, this is my favorite. Just for reference, this is what the G Pro 2 sounds like. This is the Huano on the Pro. This is the Kale on the Pro Max. Now as for the feet, it's a little bit peculiar. It seems the R1 Pro is slightly slower than the Pro Max. Just take a look at the spin test. The R1 Pro Max seems to spin a little bit more, but when I'm using it, it feels the same. Now I checked the bottom, it's got the same skates as the Pro Max. Everything looks the same, it's just as flat, it's even, everything looks identical. I just don't know why the Pro is slightly slower. I suspect maybe the hardness might be different. You know, it's mounted the same way. I looked at the levels, it's the same. You know, there could be a discrepancy in the hardness of the PTFE that's causing this, and that's the only way, that's the only thing I can think of. I'm unable to find any other discrepancy, you know, between the two feet, so I don't know what's going on with that. The only thing I can think of is maybe it's, you know, different hardness. They still feel exactly the same, they play exactly the same, so you know, I'm not bothered about it. Now the last part, or the second last thing I want to talk about, is the performance. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my best performing mouse to date, and I know this because I do a daily cycle of 5 Kovaaks scenarios that I'm going to pull up right now. I've been monitoring my performance daily since May 2023, and I play the same 5 scenarios once a day with different mouse and pad combinations, and I track this on my notepad, so I have some empirical evidence or of my, you know, pseudo scientific research, you could say. Now, so let me show you for the last 23 days of progress. I started on the 29th, which is here. So I'm gonna draw it out for you guys. This might take a little bit, but this is when I started. And then on the Pro Max, this is when I started on the Pro. So I'm gonna draw it right here. So this is Pro Max, this is Pro, and these are the results for the last you know, since I started with the VXE on the 29th of December, and you can clearly see there is an upward trend in terms of performance. And this is the first scenario. I have some other scenarios that I play, actually more than 5, but because, you know, this scenario I've only started playing, like, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, so I can't really count that in. This is the second scenario, this one here, and again, let me find when I started. I started on the 30th, so I started right here. And sorry if this is taking up too much time, but I want to do this as quickly as possible for you guys. So this is 14, that's the first day of the Pro Max there. So this is Pro Max, this is Pro. Again, you can see an upward trajectory here, right? It's very clear. All my averages are even higher than before, and even on my last attempt, which was just like a couple of hours ago, it is my third highest score. This is my third highest score. This is the highest score. I think this is the second highest, and 2 hours ago was my third highest score. So there is evidence that this mouse is showing improvement, is giving me improvement. Remember, I only do these scenarios once a day. Once a day. This is the next scenario, and this is even more clearer. You can see it shooting up here. I think I started off, my first day was here. First day was here. Second day was pretty bad, and then I started getting better. I had a couple of off days which I didn't do very well, and then the last 5 days hit my personal best up here, highest score ever. So, you know, you can't argue with the results. The results are the results. This is, oh, the one that I showed you was, this fast strafe is actually my hardest to improve scenario, because you're like micro tracking, really difficult for me to improve. You can see for a long period of time you don't see me improving at all, but when I got to the VXEs, you can see a clear improvement here. So the next scenario is the long strafes. This one, not a lot of improvement, but I wasn't bad anyway. You know, a couple of high scores, not my personal best, but second best score, third best score. Just today, was this my second best score? Yeah, second best score 2 hours ago. So, you know what I mean? How can you argue with that? That is evidence. That is evidence of improvement. This one is oh no, it crashed. Why? Why did it crash? I don't know. But let me turn it on again, and then I'll show you again. Okay, we are back. Got it on again. I don't know why it crashed just now, but here we go. I started on right here, 30th of December, first day, and look at all the average scores right up to today. They are all up there in my highest scores. If you drew a line from here to here, you can see this is the highest scores are up here. And you know, there's just no denying that this was the result. There are 2 days here that is pretty bad. These 2 days I was actually on the Raiden, Artisan Raiden. I changed the pad out just to see if, you know, I could do better. And this one, really bad score. I was just having an off day. I don't know why, but it happened that way. So those are my 5 scenarios I have. I do play other scenarios, more scenarios, but I've been doing this, you know, these other scenarios I've only started since September, so I don't have a long record of the scores. That's why I don't add them. I don't show you guys, or you know, use them as a metric, because this one has a, you know, I've only been using it very short time. So those are my 5 you know, performance metrics that I wanted to show you guys, that shows that this mouse really does the job, just like any other high performance mouse. And the last part I want to talk about is the value for money. For $38 for a 4K capable mouse that works really well, performs really well, I don't know what to say, man. There's no, you can't say anything bad about it. If you want a really good mouse for really cheap price, the Pro Max is $42, $53 if you want the dongle. This one, the Pro, is $38. Just different switches. These are Huano switches. Those are Kale switches. $38 with half the size of the battery of the Pro Max, and you can't really go wrong with it. I hope you enjoyed this video and took some useful information about the Pro. I hope I convince you that if you decide you want to get something like this and you're worried about quality, you're worried about reliability, you're worried about performance, I hope you can put that to rest, because quality is great, performance is great, reliability is great. No issues at all with the sensor, with tracking, gaming, office work, anything you want to do with the mouse. It's just great. I hope you enjoyed this video again, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye bye.